when we say why we want to go to the portal, so probably what problem the portal is going to solve in my organization. Now, explosive growth of company sites lead to inconsistent branding. So when we say branding, so look and feel, so different branding features, like, okay, I have a single organization and there are 15 business units and each of them have different branding style, which is not adherence to the corporate style. So inconsistent development, no standards being followed. Now, if I want to integrate a wide array of assets that required delivery outside the firewall, so how do I do that? And then most important thing that portal provides is a more inclusive community and foster innovation from anywhere while providing necessary business and technical governance. So when I'm forming the basic fundamental of portal, or to start a portal solution architecture, is I want to keep everything in the place. My governance needs to be in place. I need to know all my business processes. I need to know all the branding. So all these things needs to be in place for starting and solution architecture of any portal. Now the challenges which we have seen, the portal is able to achieve this. An outcome of that particular thing is like a cost reduction. Initially there won't be any cost reduction, but down the line you will see a hell lot of cost reduction in the organization, and then there will be a top line growth, and obviously for any organization there will be a competitive advantage with its competitor. The use patterns, like they are self-explanatory, like process portals, dashboards, custom service, self-service, pattern self-service, social networking, and so on and so forth. So if I want to meet the challenge in the organization with whatever challenges we have seen, what I need to do is I need to start thinking of implementing a portal solution. Implementing a portal solution is a big exercise within itself, and everybody needs to understand that all the proper requirements as well as the processes needs to be in place when a solution outline phase for the portal is getting kicked off. So what are the technical enablers that drive the outcome? So as I was talking, is like when we are moving from 4x to version 8, so the journey of the portal is been like the WebSphere portal is quite exciting, and I have experienced journey from version 4.x. So I have worked on the portal from its early days in 2000, started in 2002, wherein like the portal was kind of 4.x was really fragile and was having kind of issues with operating system, which eventually, like when we move from the version to version, it has really matured a lot. It is providing very huge amount of features for the benefit of its end users, administrators, architects, and everybody in the organization. So if we see version 5, I haven't mentioned over here version 4, because version 4 was kind of version 5 was based on version 4 itself. So I have mentioned version 5, then version 5.1 was even if it was 5.1, but it was having a lot of features compared to 5.x, and it was more robust. So from the versioning perspective, I have worked on 4.12, I have worked on 5.1, I have worked on 6.0, 6.1, 7, and working on 8 now. So version 5 was providing you single sign-on, it was having web clipping, then content management was externalized, so still web content management was there. Then role-based access, it was having look and feel, it was having single infrastructure, single security models, and then there were navigational models. So like there was a lot of development and configuration that was involved when working with 5.x or 5.0, I would say. Then 5.1 and 6 were kind of a portal which provided good amount of features, and the infrastructure of this particular portal was stable, robust, but there were some of the features that were missing, and there were some integration points that were not available in that particular portal. So improved tooling was there, RAP-based development was there, JSR 166 standards, 168 standards were implemented. Even though IBM standards were accepted at that point of time, but predominantly people used to develop all those portlets in 168 in order to have portability with different other portals. Then personalization was introduced in 5.1, and it was kind of one of its kind of feature that was introduced. Then portlet interaction was there, even though inter-portlet communication was not there. There was a way to do inter-portlet communication. Then user-based publishing, virtual portal was also there, and then it was also supporting the composite application. Now when we move from 6.1 and beyond, over here I am going to talk about 6.1, and 7 is more or less similar with a delta features to it. And once we discuss the 6.1, I am going to deep dive into features of 8. Though with a limited time I may not be able to cover all the features, but at a high level I will be able to cover good amount of features that are a moving factor that are provided in Web3 portal 8.0 version. So when 6.1 was introduced, it was again having more features, more robustness, and more compatibility with other tools. Then there were like, the important thing about 6.1 and 7 was it was a service oriented architecture. Then user driven contribution was there. Assembly was easier. Assembly, what I mean to say is the portlet assembly was easier, artifacts assembly was easier, the migration strategy from was very easier, the migration path was easier. Even migration path from 5.1 to 6.1 was easier compared to 5.1 to 6.0. Then attribute driven personalization was there. In till 6 we were having user based personalization, but in 6.1 and 7 there was attribute driven personalization, wherein like the attributes can be defined in LDAP and I can use those attributes, or even the attributes can be defined in my look aside table and I can leverage those attributes as my personalization attributes. Apart from that, there was introduction of visibility rules, which was very simple compared to the personalization rule that was part of 5.1 and 6.0. Visibility rules, if I want to just show or hide a particular page or a particular set of user group, I just need to show, say, show this particular page to, and then probably who all in this particular group or whichever group I want to show that particular page to. Then federated search was available, wherein like I can search into multiple collections as well as I can search into multiple repositories. Content promotion was easier using site management, and then there was a improved governance overall from a governance, portal governance perspective that was introduced as a part of 6.1 and beyond. Even if it says improved governance, that governance needs to be implemented by an organization, and it's an organization based decision. So now from 6.1 and above, Portal provides an rich array of racks and configurable components. So I have like presentation, navigation, I have excuse me, I have integration services, I have content services, I have collaboration services. Then there's an information layer which is accessing that. So Portal is acting as my presentation layer. Below that, my all the integration layers will be there, which will connect to data, application, business process, mainframe legacy, and so on and so forth. So with 6.1 and beyond, there was in portlet to portlet communication that was possible. There was single sign-on integration. Then there were a lot of out-of-the-box portlet that were introduced as a part of 6.1. Even Google gadgets were integrated as a part of 6.1 implementation. So I haven't touched on the architecture as such with the latest, with the old version, but overall the architecture of the portal has remained same with addition of lot of components. So if you see the overall architecture of portal, I can see this is from 6.1 and above, and more or less it is depicting an architecture for 8. So if you see the entire architecture, you'll be able to see that I have multiple channels access to this particular portal. So my portal can be accessed using multiple channels. So authentication can be browser based, desktop based, mobile based, and even if I'll be able to use the offline clients as well. The authorization for a specific user group will be again based on portal databases, user profile databases, and LDAP directories. So I guess everybody over here understands the difference between authentication and authorization. So I won't go into that particular detail of authentication and authorization over here. So as part of my page aggregation, I have themes and scheme, page handlers, rule, and dynamic UI manager that is available. I have feed provider that is also available. Then as a part of my portal container services, I have a content access portlet and keeper portlet and preferences portlet and a lot of other components. And then there will be like integration patterns that are followed, like if I want to integrate any J2 application within the portal, I have a lot of integration patterns that I have used. In one of the for one of the customer, when we were deriving a solution outline, we have identified at least 6 to 7 integration patterns for the customer. So the integration patterns with different application was in SAP-based application integration, then legacy application integration, then content application integration, then SharePoint integration, then normal J2 application integration. So we have derived at least 6 to 7 patterns for the application integration which were residing outside of the portal area. So those applications were already built and the customer was not willing to portalize those applications. So like an easy way of doing that was just portletize that application without changing the business logic. So using the services of that particular application was one of the way of doing it. So now till here I was just talking about